What's up, everybody? This week, Gregg and I take a look at 3 classic games from the Sega Genesis, and Sarah and I sit down and talk about the current state of the world. That and a whole lot more is to come, because maybe would Sub-Zero and Radon beat Michael Jordan and Shaq 2-on-2? Welcome to the show. Alright, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. I keep saying tuning in, right? It's like we're back on the radio or something like that. We're all digital these days. But, thanks for everybody for jumping on board. And I'm joined this week by Gregg. Gregg, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Yeah, thanks for listening to the Ones and Zeros.
The Ones and Zeros. This is 1001001001001 FM.
Somewhere there's a robot laughing his ass off.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. That's what we need to do right now. Bender 2020, kill all humans. Us meatbags already had the chance. Right. So guys, thanks very much again. Thanks very much for tuning in, listening, whatever, downloading. I'm going to very, very quickly say that we've been doing some record downloads the last couple of weeks, and thank you very much for everybody who's downloaded. So guys, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, or Instagram, look up Because Maybe Network. Check out our YouTube channel, and of course we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, and we're not on Google because Google sucks, okay? And I'm keeping that thread. You and he, when I recorded with Sarah, that was our big thing. Google sucks because they still won't approve us for Google Podcasts, which is,
Well, you got. I like Podbean. That's kind of been my go-to.
Yeah.
I like it because it works on my car.
Really?
On my CarPlay system, yeah. So I'm a big fan of the Podbean. So if you don't have that app, get it. Yeah,
definitely. And like I said, we're on all the other ones except Google because Google.
Just grab your favorite one. But if you don't have a favorite one, I highly recommend Podbean. It's really easy to use. There's lots of good content on it. So check it out.
And if you want to do a podcast, use Podbean too. They're a great host. So
yeah, definitely.
So man, it's been a long time since you and I have gotten together. We were just talking off air. This is like the first time we've seen each other since September last year.
Yeah, I would say it's been at least 4 or 5 months, if not longer.
Now we do still, we do have the 8-5 together. We're talking all the time. But this is the first time we've been in a room.
Yeah, it's always over Messenger, or like sometimes. Like I'll send him something that's not work appropriate over Telegram chat or something, like the other day.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's good to be back in the flesh and out of the house for a little bit. So.
And we're almost done with the studio. Like by the next time you see me, we'll have like the paneling up and everything like that.
I didn't even recognize the place when I pulled up because I guess you guys have done a lot of spring cleaning and whatnot. It looks really good, man.
We had our last yard sale, and then everything that was left over was either if it was donatable, we donated it. If it wasn't, it was chunked.
That's good. That's good, man. Yeah, I was literally like really impressed when I pulled up. I was like, wow, this looks really good. So.
Me and Sarah, we spoke about this. I think we spoke about it last week or the week before. We're trying to make things a lot better than it has been on everyone. And I think one of the things that we decided to do was, just minimalize everything.
Yeah, that can be a good thing, man. That can be. Yeah, I think we've had those talks before, and there's a certain amount of letting go that you just have to do after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and I mean, even in here right now, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, but I mean, that's life, dude. It catches up to you quick.
I don't know whether or not by the time everything's done, if I'm going to stop using my flags or not. So, but yeah, man, like I said, it's good to have you on. So let me ask you this question, right?
All right.
Have you been keeping up with the Space Force stuff?
Kind of. I saw the logo thing. I did see that. As
a fellow Trekkie, what do you think? Do you think that they're going to get paid, or?
Man, I don't know. I don't know if it's a ripoff or if it's a very careful homage. But
here's the thing. I can't remember who said it. Said if you rip off one person, it's plagiarism. If you rip off multiple people, it's research. So
yeah, that's true.
But like I said, Sarah, did you like? What do you think of the Space Force to begin with?
I mean, what are we guarding out there?
Well, what
are we protecting?
That was
the satellites,
right
from meteorites. I mean, that's my main I just feel like maybe there's stuff on Earth we could do too.
Well, we got to protect the ice sheet.
There you go.
The snipers from NASA and all, NASA and Russia and China and Britain and Australia and Zimbabwe.
Can't get over that ice shelf.
No,
definitely.
Can't get over that ice shelf because the Earth is a cube.
There's a really good video with Neil deGrasse Tyson where he very simply breaks down why the Earth could not be flat. He's not condescending. He's not know-it-all-ish, but he explains it in terms that an 8-year-old can understand.
I think I need to watch that because I think that's the first time Neil deGrasse Tyson has not been condescended
That's
or
what-
know-it-all.
That's what I'm saying. He just literally just breaks it down in this very palpable, like easy to understand string of sentences.
Yeah, but
It was mind blowing.
gravity isn't real.
Yeah, the theory of gravity. Yeah.
Yes, the theory of gravity. You know what
Right.
else is a theory? Everything else that has ever been that has ever existed.
Pretty much, yeah. Even theories are theories, really.
Exactly. So now we are recording this. I don't know when this is going to come out. This is going to be very, very dated. Hence why this episode exists. We're recording the day after the death of Kobe Bryant. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I do know who Kobe Bryant is, and that's one of the hallmarks of how good he was.
He's one of those people like Babe Ruth,
Yep.
Joe DiMaggio, Michael Jordan, Joe Montana.
Pele.
Yeah, exactly. People that transcend their sport such that people outside of that circle know who they are. And in the 90s, everyone knew who Michael Jordan was.
Yeah.
No one, like, I think maybe the only people who didn't know were those Balinese people, or however you say it, that live on that. They live on that island
in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah,
they shoot arrows at the helicopters.
It's not in the Indian Ocean, but it's in that bay.
Yeah,
Bengal Bay. Yeah, it's like right next to it. I think maybe at that time they were the only people who didn't know who Michael Jordan was. I would put my next paycheck on that. You could walk up to any person in the world in the 90s and they knew who MJ was.
Oh yeah.
You didn't have to say Michael Jordan. You could
say Jordan.
Well, yeah, I guess you would because of Michael Jackson. He went by MJ, so that could. But yeah, extremely recognizable, and I think Kobe kind of transcended that. He was one of those players.
He was like the 2000s version of it, or the late 90s, early 2000s of it. Because the first time I knew of Kobe Bryant was like around 2002, 2003.
Yeah, he was kind of the 2000s version, I guess you could say. And man, I just, sports aside, fan allegiance aside, hearsay aside, and all that other stuff aside, it just as a father, it's just absolutely heartbreaking to me that there's kids that are going to bed tonight without their dad and their sister. So everything, all that other stuff aside, it just pains me as a father to know that that's happening to anyone tonight.
And that's, I mean, like in the last year there have been like a lot of it's ridiculous now. Since January 27th of last year, there have been I think 3 sporting related deaths by aircraft. There was a baseball player who I think that was about a year and some change ago. He was flying his jet like a private deal,
just like a little dick around plane. Just go, hey, I can afford $10,000 to get this thing off the ground. So he lost control, wrecked and died. I know that one, and then there's the Kobe Bryant one.
Kobe Bryant is Emiliano Sala, who's an Argentine soccer player who actually.
Okay, so you follow soccer or football better than I do.
He made a transfer deal. This is the bad part about this one. He made a transfer deal on the 24th of January. And he flew back to France to say goodbye to his former teammates, high five, cleared out his locker and everything like that.
Right.
And then he died on the return journey back to England. Over the water.
Have they ruled out sabotage?
Yeah, they did. It was
because that just seems too.
No,
that's so. Yeah.
It apparently the pilot wasn't qualified or the plane wasn't rated for the type of journey that they were doing.
Oh no!
And it was just one of those get it done on the cheap kind of deal, and
they're in a hurry, wanting to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost control, and
it's like a Richie Valens, Buddy Holly situation. Yeah. They were cold and they were ready to get to the next gig and get in a warm bed.
Unfortunately they found the plane at the bottom of the English Channel, which is horrible. But I mean,
that's terrible.
It's been a rough year for sports stars and flying, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, if you're famous and a sports star, don't get in a helicopter. I mean,
Stevie Ray Vaughan died in a helicopter crash too.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. So, for what it's worth, our condolences go out to the families of everybody involved in the tragedy.
Yeah, and just anyone I know how like people, you probably don't know Kobe Bryant, but if you grew up watching a guy like that, and especially for anyone that played sports and could appreciate his grit and his determination, obviously that's going to affect you in some capacity. So
yeah, definitely. And
just to the dads and the moms out there, and the daughters and the sons, find the family member that you love and hug them tight and tell them you love them.
Definitely. So on that note, guys, like I said, we offer our condolences, and for what it's worth. I mean, I don't want to sound empty and stuff like that, but I mean that's all you can do at a time. Like,
it's you just hate. I mean, his fame and stuff aside, like I was saying, just the situation's just absolutely horrible. Wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Definitely. So, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into what we're here for. We're gonna talk about the classics, or some of the classics.
Yeah.
The great Sega Master System, not Master System, Mega Drive.
Yeah, the Genesis / Mega Drive. Yeah, and I hear it's really. They're pretty much the same from what I can gather.
They're exactly the same.
But it's just marketing.
Yeah, I think the term... Well, we'll talk about it here in just a second.
Okay, great.
And we're going to jump through, and I'll see you in just a moment.
All right. Review Corner for Gamers.
All right, guys, so this is what we're here about today. We are going to look at what I call some Genesis classics. Now, before we go any further, this is not the classical games of the Sega Genesis, and we've got something coming up similar for the Super Nintendo at a later point in time. This is just a couple of games that they have substance, they're classics for the system, but they don't really have anything that I can dedicate a whole 45 minutes to an hour talking about. They're just a little shallow in that department, and once they do exactly what they say on the tin, basically.
Yeah, it'd be like trying to do a full podcast on Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go over the characters, and then it's like, okay, they punch each other and kick each other, and one of them wins, the end.
And that's pretty much it. Now, there's a little more there's obviously a little more substance, but not enough to run through. So we were talking right before the break, right, about the actual name of the console itself. Now, I didn't know this growing up, in the UK. We always called it the Mega Drive.
Sure.
And apparently it was the Genesis over here.
Over here, yeah, it was the Sega Genesis.
And I've looked as to why, and I can't find a decent reason why, other than there was a Genesis dispute in the UK with the band.
It could have had to do. 9 times out of 10, when you see cross marketing like that, like the same product but being marketed different, 9 times out of 10, it has to do with either naming rights, royalties, or even just confusion.
Yeah.
Perfect example, the Chevy Nova was not selling in Latin America, and they couldn't figure it out why, because it was the perfect car for that market. The price point, what it did, its availability, blah 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 blah. So then they brought in a Spanish speaker and had them look at all the stuff, and he said, hey, you realize Nova means it doesn't go in Spanish, right? And they went, oh no. So they changed the name of it to like the Pinto, or they changed the name of it to something else.
That's awesome.
So 9 times out of 10, when there's people that are researching and learning from the follies of other companies like that, that lost millions of dollars on a marketing crap in the bed on it.
Now that being said, I was on like the 5th or 6th page of Google when I read it was something to do with the band. So while
that makes sense.
So while I take every opportunity to shit on Phil Collins as much as I can, because I can't stand his musicianship, except his drumming, he's a badass drummer. I can't say that there's any truth to that. So that's a definite in the allegedly department. So,
most of the time, I just think it's probably a confusion thing, because Genesis is also a chapter in the Bible. So maybe there's some Anglicans or some Roman Catholics. You're gonna be pissed off.
Hey, as long as we got fish on a Friday and whiskey with our meal, we're all right. I think the only other one that I've heard of 2 that like led to name changes, like for example the 182 after Blink 182.
Yeah, because someone already had the name Blink.
Yeah, they call them the UK charlatans over here, or the Manchester charlatans over here, and they're actually called the charlatans in the UK. And
Okay.
the biggest one I've ever heard of is the charity fund and the wrestling organization got into a fight over the initials WWF.
WWF. They had to change it to WWE, I believe.
Yes, they did.
The WWF ended up winning the World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about that is now there's a t-shirt out there of two pandas, and one of them is about to hit the other one with a chair.
Yeah.
So
the Postal Service too.
Really?
Yeah, the band, the Postal Service.
Oh, okay.
They got a cease and desist from the federal government, and they had to stop using that name.
See, the Fed's always trying to hold everybody down.
Stained too. Stained. They couldn't use. They had the original spelling ED. Couldn't use it. It was already taken, so they just took the E out.
I thought there was some 2000s like hip thing, you know,
like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God.
There's already a Limp Biscuit, so let's be Limp Bizkit.
Actually, you know what? I didn't have a problem with Stained. They did that one song that I liked, and that was it. So.
Their first album was amazing.
Was that the one that the song Outside was on?
No. They had like Mud Shovel and Home, and yeah, it's kind of depressing, but it's a real good album. Sonically, it's real good too.
Sweet.
Anyway, we're chasing some rabbits here. My bad.
It's fine. It's fine. Rabbit hole, you know, it's a segue. But so we're going to talk about three games right now that I think are the three biggest small games in Genesis history.
I think this first one is really overlooked. Honestly, man, I think half the people I talk to that play Genesis, half of them don't even know about this series.
Really?
It's a damn shame. Yes.
Because I know the first one wasn't a classic, right? But what we're talking about here is Road Rash 2.
Yes, now, very important. Two.
The reason we're talking about 2 is because let's take our minds back the 25 years, right? Nearly 30 years, right? You couldn't really spend a lot of time building video games with all these super features. You just had to make sure that the main features worked, and a lot of the first parts of many series was getting everything together to make sure that it worked.
The control and it's like Mario.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have the best graphics, but the controls are flawless.
Exactly. And then Mario 3 built on everything.
Yes, they set the standard for what would be good control in a video game.
Yeah, so
bar none.
So two of these games are sequels that we're talking about today. So we're going to start with Road Rash 2. And this game, man, I loved. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I had so much fun playing this as a kid. Lots of fights, lots of, you know, when you would knock somebody off their bike,
they just go flying.
Yeah. Also, we figured out how to unlock this ridiculously fast bike with I think it was the Wild Thing. I think it's called. Yeah, with
the nitrous in it.
You would hit a hill.
And you just stay at the top of the screen for like 10 minutes.
There was one time where I think it was Alaska, like one of those courses where it like gets elevated really quickly. There's a hill coming up, so I'm like, okay, I'm like already doing like 200 miles an hour in the wrong lane, and I hit a nitro, and I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna fly over this hill, and as soon as I get to the top of the hill, car hits me. My guy literally flew over the finish line. Like he went like 2 football fields. It was so awesome. They make a sound when they're flying. It's like, so he did it for like 20 seconds. He's just like, it was so crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we used to have just hilarious stuff like that happen. So yeah, but anyone that doesn't know about Road Rash, it's basically like a racing combat game.
Yeah. What you do is what it is, right? Is you were kind of like in the center of the screen, right? You definitely dominate the whole bottom of it, right? And you just slide one way to another. Okay, very, very basic.
Player perspective, just like what was that? The old school Nintendo game, the car, like something Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer.
Yeah,
Street Racer, something like that.
Kind of similar to that, but on a bike.
But what you do, right, is as you drove by your opponents, I guess, they would like take a swing at you. They try and kick you. They try and hit you with the club or the chain.
Yeah, I like the bat.
I always got the chain.
I like the bat and the chain. I thought the chain was cool because you could swing it.
Yep. Like
over your head, like a cowboy.
Yes, and every time you hit somebody with a chain, they fell off the bike. So you had to, like, the only way you could get the club or the chain is you had to, when they were swinging for you, you had to swing at them at the same time.
You had to counter, kind of in Tekken, where you had to, like, time it just right, and you would just whoosh, grab it right out of their hand.
And then you start beating on them, and, you know. But you also had to dodge cars, and there'd always be a car around a quick curve.
Yeah,
off the top, as you just mentioned, the top of the hill.
Every time, man, every time.
And you just, like, go flying. And then officer number 5 would pull up, and then you have to get back on your bike before he sees. I always hit them off. I always kicked them off the bikes.
Oh yeah. No, you got no. In that game, yeah, that's the first thing you got to do is if they mess with you, man, take them out.
I think that is. I read in my research. I didn't put it down because I didn't think of it. I didn't think it was relevant, but that's kind of a little bit of what Grand Theft Auto tried to be like.
I was just
the race and chase stuff.
Yeah, originally, yeah. We talked about that on one of the earlier podcasts. How Grand Theft Auto kind of manifested on accident, for lack of a better term. But I'm looking at the date now, and I see that it's slightly after the first release of Grand Theft Auto.
The first test release, anyway.
Okay, well, I'm wondering if there was any influence in that, or was it just a quinky dink, etc.? Because it has some elements of Grand Theft Auto kind of in it.
And see, and that's the thing, from watching movies, right? If a fantasy sword and board type movie comes out, within 6 months, there's like 5 or 6 more fantasy movies come out, and they saturate the market real quick.
They beget each other.
So when I guess when what became Rockstar Games, the EA was producing a racing combat game, they tried to get in one too. Now, yes, kids, this is made by Electronic Arts. This is made by EA.
I think they also made Twisted Metal, if I'm not mistaken. So they'd already... Well, they would continue to dip their toe into this genre later on.
Now, I don't know if this was prevalent in the United States market, but all EA games in the UK had the standard cartridge with a yellow clip.
Yeah. They all of them had that. I mean, that was their
trademark.
Yeah, and that's interesting that was that they didn't modify it in any way, because was the Mega Drive, was it a front loader or a top loader?
Top loader. Okay,
the Genesis Model 1 and 2 were also top loaders, so that's the only differentiation that I could think.
Yeah, it was. I mean, back then EA made a ton of good games. They still do. Really, I mean, they still do the Madden franchise, and they do a fantastic job of that. They are a fantastic sports simulating.
Yeah, EA absolutely rules the sports video game market. Absolutely,
that built the sports video game genre.
Yeah,
Madden, NHL hockey, FIFA,
which I really enjoy playing, by the way.
Yeah, I don't
like watching it, but I like playing it.
Speaking as an Arsenal fan this season, I haven't enjoyed watching it either.
My Pats have. Yeah, did we just crap the bed in the playoffs?
Oh,
so but I'm rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs in honor of my friend Mark Darnell, who passed a few years ago. I know he's up there looking down, super, super, super happy of his squad, who never went to a Super Bowl in his entire lifetime. So I know he's looking down. I'm gonna have my Chiefs jersey on and be rooting for them this coming up Sunday.
It is this Sunday, and by this Sunday we mean about 2 months ago Sunday, but still.
Yeah, we're 6 days away from time of recording, so yeah, it's Chiefs week this week.
It's actually 3 days away from my birthday this week.
Yeah, mine's coming up too. Yeah, I always forget our birthdays are really close.
Yeah. Yours is tomorrow, isn't it?
No, it's Monday. Next Monday.
The 3rd. That's right, you're February. I keep thinking of January for some reason.
Yeah.
But so we're recording this like January 27th. So like I said, it's a long, long time, and I'll explain that I've explained that already in the first episode. So
well, life happens, man. I'm sure we'll just.
But I mean,
glad to have you back. So.
Amen. But let's just go real quick, get through this. The plot of the game is simple, and legal street races take place across America. You and 24 riders have to punch, kick, club, or chain your way through a field, and only the top 3 earn a share of the purse. Oh, and you have the law chasing you as well. Good luck. It's one of the things I liked about it is like you didn't fall off your bike the minute you were hit.
Not necessarily.
But
there's like a threshold.
You had a health meter.
Yeah.
And once you got to no health, you got hit.
Sure.
You fell off the bike, and if the bike got destroyed, which
Race
can
over.
happen.
And the crappier your bike is, the easier it'll blow up.
Now, one thing I loved about this game compared to the original was it was a 2-player game.
Yeah.
And, a lot of those games from the mid 80s to the early 2000s, a lot of them made their money off being 2-player.
Yeah, and they're one of the first ones I remember that actually utilized the split screen.
Yeah,
because a lot of times Nintendo and Atari was like take turns.
Yeah, and this
like
was...
Mario's dead. All right, it's Luigi.
Yeah,
hand the controller to your little brother because he's Luigi.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I'll make him think it's plugged in.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, this used split screen, and like all the sporting games, they had you both on the screen at the same time. But this was the first like real split screen that we had. There were 5 levels of difficulty with 5 maps on each. So as you mentioned, you do the Alaska run.
Yeah.
And then there's like a different Alaska run that's like 8 miles long.
Yeah.
And they actually felt like they were 8 miles long.
Yeah, there was good real time to them. I'm guessing they had the makers of Desert Bus in on that. For those of you who don't know, Desert Bus is a real-time video game where you drive a bus to Las Vegas from Tucson, and you can only go 50 miles an hour. And if you stop and pulls over to the side of the road, and a tow truck comes and tows you in real time.
Real time.
Back to Tucson. So yeah, go check out the...
Oh, and then you have to go back.
Yes. And then when you finish it, you get a point.
That's right.
It's 8 hours real time, man.
Slowest points in video game history.
No pauses, nothing. Oh, it's absolute torture. Yeah, Desert Bus must have been in on this.
And if you want to know more about Desert Bus, the great Angry Video Game Nerd did a whole episode on it, and
it's incredible.
Now, if you have children, it's full of woody dudes.
Yeah, but, keep the kids out of the room for that one. But, unless you're training your kid to be a pirate or something.
Samuel L. Jackson's handler. No, my son brought it to my attention. Like I was watching. You showed me the Desert Bus episode. We're going on a slight tangent. You showed me the Desert Bus episode, and I was watching the Big Rigs episode on my phone.
Oh, the Big Rigs one. Oh,
and my son, this is about 3 years ago. My son came into the living room. He just got out of bed to get some water, and he said, "Oh, you watching the Angry Video Game Nerd?" Like he was 8. He was like 9 at this point.
And he's like
you watch this guy? Oh, I don't know who this guy is, but so.
And then he walks around the corner and goes, "Buffalo diarrhea dump."
No, he started humming the theme tune as he walked up the corner. It's like,
might as well.
At least don't make. My advice to any children watching this: you don't want your parents to catch you doing something. Don't make it obvious in front of them.
Yeah, don't pretend like you know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I think this is a solid 7 out of 10 game.
Yeah,
definitely.
Man. I'd really, me personally, maybe just because of my sentimental attachment to it, I'd probably give it like an 8.5 or a 9. It's I still play this game. I still own this game, and I still play it.
Nice.
That's how much I love this game.
You're more in line with the critics than I am on this one, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why did you only give it a 7? Let me ask you that.
Part of it was. That's a good question. Part of it was it's a good game, and it had great potential, and there was just. It felt like to me that it wasn't not finished, so to speak. But
it could have been more comprehensive.
Yeah,
I feel you on that. Yeah, the more races, more bikes, more there's no customization options.
No. The only thing the only other thing I didn't like about it was the fact that once you get past the initial 5 stages, the game gets samey.
Yeah,
and that's the only problem I have with it.
Rampage is bad about that. Kari Warriors, that's another one. It just drags on. It's like the same thing.
A lot of sports games do that now. It's the same thing over and over again. It doesn't make it not good. It just means that, like, I played Road Rash doing the research for this, and I could be content not to play it for another 4 or 5 months. But sure. I enjoy myself when I play it, and I like playing it. But to me, the replay value is very, very quickly gone. It's like a piece of gum.
It's a novelty.
Yes. It's a damn good game. I like it, but it's like a piece of gum. Once you chewed like 10 times, the flavor's gone, and it's like, okay, what's on to the next one?
Yeah.
That doesn't make it a bad game, because how you play it, I mean, as you mentioned, the little quirks and and everything going forward, and even the game itself, is good when you're playing it. It just, for me, I don't crave it. That's why I give it a 7.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun doing the 2-player thing with it, so I mean, it's always gonna have a special spot in my heart. But I agree with that. I think they could have done more, and I think they addressed that in Road Rash 3. But all in all, even though it is a novelty, I thought it was extremely entertaining, fun to play with friends.
And plus, the 7 out of 10 comes with the fact that I always got my butt kicked on 2-player mode.
Right.
So, all right. So the next game we're going to talk about, we mentioned this earlier, and we're going back to the basketball arena, NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
Yeah, another classic multiplayer
Definitely
game.
I love this game. This is like, excuse the pun, this is my jam. Right. It was made by Midway.
Yeah, Midway, makers of Mortal Kombat.
Makers of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they're most known for that, definitely.
And those are two games you don't really... okay, we grew up in an age right now, right? Bethesda. Use Bethesda as an example because, we're both fans of Skyrim and Fallout and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they make a certain type of game, right? Really big, open world,
RPG,
somewhat RPG.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Basketball and Mortal Kombat...
Yeah.
Are like so far apart they're almost touching each other on the other end.
Yeah, it's oil and water, man.
Yeah. I mean,
it's interesting. They made both of them work.
Definitely. This was released in the spring of '94, right? And the reason I say that is because unlike Road Rash, this bad boy was in the arcades.
Yes.
And it was designed for the arcades.
Yes, and I thought the home port was kind of disappointing.
It was.
Personally, it was still cool. It was still fun.
In the United States, it made $1 billion worth of quarters.
Shish.
That's a lot of money, right?
That's
there.
a lot of cheddar right there.
That's a lot of kids getting addicted very, very quickly.
It was a different kind of game too. It was a little more rough and tough than normal basketball.
It was street rules on a basketball court.
Basically, that blatant goaltending was counted, but you could just literally just shove somebody and take the ball from them, which I always thought was kind of cool.
I always laughed at that.
And then equally frustrating when receiving it.
When you did it, it was good. When somebody else did it, it was wrong and deserved a foul.
And then I'd start figuring out how to I'd know when they were going to try to shove me, and I could throw elbows and go around them because they'd shove and then they would go and topple over, and I'd just go around them and dunk it.
Well, that was the other thing too, right? The hallmark of this game was the dunks.
Yeah, the exaggerated dunk. There was kind of a cartoon. There was realism to them, but there was also a cartoon kind of suspension of disbelief, with the people's abilities and the things happening on the court and with the ball and stuff like that.
The ball would always go on fire after you did 3 dunks.
It would
or something like that.
Yeah, I think when one player would score 3 consecutive points, it didn't matter if it was a 3 or a 2. It just had to score 3 times. And then they added team fire later on, where if you got two assists in a row,
both of you got a team.
Both of you would be on fire, and that gave you unlimited turbo for a minute or so.
And once you had unlimited turbo, it was done. Nobody could stop you. I
call the being on fire a major disadvantage. It's like, oh, you already put up 3 uncontested points. Hey, cool. Now have unlimited turbo and 99% accuracy. That's fair. It's
okay.
Once again, when I had it, awesome. When I was facing it, no.
Not so good. The great thing about this, right, is they took facial and body scans of actual human beings.
Yeah, and I think they kind of pioneered that in some ways.
And it looked better than 95% of the sports simulators out there, because those sports simulators will basically blob in a vague shape of a human. And
then Sega CD desperately tried to jump onto that when they did Night Trap and some of those other games, where it's like a point and click movie. They're like, oh, stop animation is going to be the best thing, the next best thing. And so they're trying to inject it in all these games. I kind of have a feeling that NBA Jam, when people saw the realism in that, they decided, okay, stop motion is going to be the next thing. But it really failed. It
was the great thing about it was it's the animation style, was ahead of its time for the 90s.
And the sprites never looked out of place either. Everything looks very well done, cohesive all the way through it, and like a Mario, another great example of a great, well-programmed game. The backgrounds and the sprites match. I mean, they look good.
Nothing looked out of place. It didn't distract you. It didn't attract you. It just was.
And it was also kind of a 3D view, like a bird's eye angled view. So you had, when shooters would take a shot, say in the corner for a 3, you would actually see them from a perspective of them going up.
Jump up into the side. Or
Yeah,
something.
you would see their shadow and their feet, and so it was. I think it was graphically groundbreaking as a sports title for '94 and on a 16-bit console.
It was the first. It was the first sports style game that did the arena of play from left to right as opposed from up to down. Because Madden was overhead and you went forward.
Yeah.
FIFA and all those soccer games and the ice hockey games played on like a diamond shape.
Yeah,
So
like an
like
isometric kind of angle. Yeah.
And so this was the first one that was straight eye level mid court.
But you also have a little isometric angle in it too. I mean, because you're not looking at it straight down. I mean, it's kind of...
It was like director's camera vision.
Right.
Say.
Like
The hard cam.
if you're in the very middle of half court and then you just rotate it back like 20 degrees in one direction, just so that you have,
good perspective.
Yeah, it worked. I think it worked really well, and they didn't force you to change perspective at all. It stayed in that one, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a really, really good game.
It was fun. It was exciting. It was good. Good to play with lots of people. So.
And it was one of those. It was one of those games that first started putting realistic stats into players.
Yeah. And they. I know licensing can be a nightmare when you're dealing with people that are famous and crap, but I think they dropped the ball a little bit on like the players that they had in it. They were missing some insane greats,
but they got the best of who they could get.
They did that. I would have loved.
Midway couldn't afford the rights to Michael Jordan.
I would love to play as Michael Jordan. Just have his tongue like hit the floor when he dunks. Yeah, just exaggerated.
It was the other one. Shaq was the other big one that they didn't have.
And that's crazy to me.
Because Shaq was in his rookie year when this game came out. From what I read.
Yeah, no, that's about right.
It's like his first or second year as a player, so he wasn't Shaq. He was Shaquille O'Neal at that point, They re-released it actually on the PS3 as like a download. I have it on my PS3. And there's a way to unlock Michael Jordan. I just haven't figured it out yet. Nice.
But everybody else is on there. Pippen, Kobe, LeBron, all them.
They're all there.
Yeah, I think this game helped the NBA like get some different and new fans too. I think that made the NBA a little more exciting to some people. Because
at that time we had the Dream Team of the Olympics and stuff coming up, and
so
they needed more eyes on the product to get good old fashioned patriotism and all that. But I mean, Magic Johnson had not long been retired. Michael Jordan was the big name.
He was towards the end of his career, not quite, but he was still winning championships and putting up good numbers.
And he was about to head to baseball at that point too.
Yeah, I think he was close to after his fourth championship, he quit for a little while and did baseball. Yeah, and then he came back in '98, I think, and then won one more NBA title.
So they needed stars, and the best way to get the young fans hooked on it was through NBA Jam. That had to have been it, because the NBA was very, very protective of their copyrights, and
they did it without Jordan. They didn't even need him.
And
they were still a titan. They're still one of the most recognizable video games and franchises.
Now, one thing that Midway did do, and I was reading it, I was upset, not because they did it, but because of how the game could have been. They had 6 Mortal Kombat characters programmed into the game. So like it'd be like Scottie Pippen up against Sub-Zero.
Okay, random.
But the NBA made them take it out of it, and to Midway's credit, they didn't kick up a stink about it. They took them out, and all the test copies they took them out too. So there's no surviving code with any of the Mortal Kombat rendered characters in there.
Boo.
But it's an arcade game. It's not real. You got the guy dunking from the roof of the arena.
Yeah, and jumping up, 35 feet in the air, and then dunking a flaming basketball into a rim. Yeah, totally.
It was insane. The game had 5 levels of difficulty. It had hard, extra hard, super duper hard, and oh my god, this is impossible to play. No, it was basically super easy, normal, hard, extra hard, right?
Right.
And that was one of my problems with it, is the fact that it was a very, very fast-paced game, and it was very, very difficult to control.
Shorter court. The court, scale-wise, is like 3/4 size, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's fast paced. I think they wanted to do it that way.
True.
But that kind of that can be
jarring.
Yeah, it can be. There's a lot going on.
Well, not only that. I mean, for the casual guys who bought this game playing up against a basketball fan, this would have been a nightmare to play.
Yeah, like a traditional someone who was adhering to normal basketball rules.
Because I mean, like the first Madden that came out on the SNES, everybody knew. Everybody, even if they didn't know how to play football, they knew, how to play the game.
Yeah.
Right. The same thing with the FIFA series, same thing with the NHL series, the boxing series. If you didn't know anything about the sport, you still knew how to play the game.
Right.
And this, I think, adhered more to the basketball fans than the video game fans, if that makes sense.
Probably so. And I maybe it bridged the gap between the two a little bit.
Yeah.
Perhaps,
I mean, because, video games were... I think sports simulators got the sports fans into video games and kept them there.
Yeah.
They had to. I mean, good Lord. In the UK, there's FIFA Day, they call it.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But it was one of the first games to have play-by-play, too. Okay, I say play-by-play. It was basically, some dude yelling from downtown every time you...
He's on fire!
Yeah. It was great, man. It seems cheesy now, but again, it's another thing that enhanced the gameplay.
And then you saw that Sports Talk Football, I believe, came out that same year, which eventually turned into the Madden franchise, and that was its that was what its selling point was. It was called John Madden Sports Talk Football in 94. I believe it was 94, 92, I can't remember.
It's around that time.
But yeah, right. So yeah, they probably took a page out of that. But yeah, it's now it's insane for me to play a sports game and not hear commentary.
No.
So it's kind of the standard now.
Yeah, it's definitely. I wrote down 6, but I'm actually changing it to 7 out of 10. I thought it was a damn good game, but I think the only thing that brought it down was for non-basketball fans.
It's missing some of those marquee names.
Missing some of the marquee names,
yeah.
And it was just a little bit too difficult.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. I was going to give it a 7 as well before you revealed yours. But yeah, I think it's about right.
It's on par. And like I said, it was just too difficult for people who didn't quite know the rules of the game. That's all. And that's on easiest difficulty.
It's probably better that Jordan went in it, because every game would have been Jordan and Pippen versus Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it would have been annoying AF.
Everybody would have gone the Bulls. See, we knew the Bulls back home. They were a franchise team.
God, they haven't been relevant in a long time.
The Dallas Cowboys of basketball. Then again, I'm saying that Liverpool FC, as of time of recording, are 16 points clear in the Premier League with 2 games in hand. So at the end of that, they could be 21 points ahead.
Wow.
On level game. They've won it this year. So the final game that we're going to talk about this episode, and like I said, if you guys like what we're doing right here, let us know on our social media pages, and we'll do more of them, because there's hundreds of games like these that are not long enough to have their own episode, but we can go ahead and talk about it. And like I mentioned, probably the next couple of months we'll do a Super Nintendo one. But in the meantime, the final game that we're reviewing today is a game in Japan was called Bare Knuckle. Right. But in the United States and Europe, it was called Streets of Rage.
Right. Translation issue with that. I'm willing.
Oh, definitely.
I think I remember reading somewhere that it was like the street is angry, or the street is mad. Was
angry
like,
pavement.
Yeah, like it didn't make sense at all. So yeah, I think that was a translation thing.
This was probably my favorite Genesis game of all time.
I liked part 2 a little bit better, but yeah, I think all the Streets of Rage were really, really good. Kind of like the updated Double Dragon, if you will, and a better version.
They had a lot of comparisons to Double Dragon, and
it's a side scroller isometric angle beat 'em up. So yeah, I mean, x-axis, y-axis, kind of faux 3D feel.
This was the standard bearer though for 16-bit. Was it 16-bit? Yeah, for 16-bit.
Oh yeah,
consoles.
we're still in 16-bit.
I can remember if it's 16-bit or 32 because I know it jumped with the 64 with the N64.
Yeah, no. Well, Sega had a response to that with the 32-bit add-on, and it was just a pile of garbage.
Yeah, well, Sega. Unfortunately, this was Sega's last great system.
Yeah, and now they either are owned by Nintendo or Nintendo has publishing rights or something, because there's Sonic games coming out on the Wii now.
Sega went from stopped making consoles and started focusing directly on
software,
software and development.
So they probably just partnered with third party.
Yep. They do the Football Manager series, or they did up until a certain point. You've mentioned the Mario and Sonic series.
Yeah.
I guarantee you before the end of... But by the time the next Smash Brothers game comes out, Sonic will be in it at some point.
Dude, if you'd have told me in 1995 that one day Nintendo would be releasing Sonic the Hedgehog games, I would have backhanded you so hard you would have traveled back in time. I would have never believed that. It was... Dude, the Bit Wars? Are you kidding me?
Ironically, it was won by the one party who wasn't involved at the beginning.
It was won by the one party who has never, ever once talked about how many bits they have.
No. And actually, it was won by the one party who only got into the video game system because Nintendo wouldn't let them do it. Yeah.
There was another punch on that one. Oh yeah, also that console ushered in the next gen console generation
of everything.
It inspired Xbox, all the competitors, all the PC games and stuff. They're all thanks to Sony PlayStation. Yeah, they really pioneered that big time.
Now I know there's some Xbox and Sony fans. How can you be a fan of a console? Anyway, it plays the same damn games. It's not like it was in the 90s where if you wanted to play Sonic and Mario, you had to have two different systems.
You had to have Sega and Nintendo, respectively. Yeah.
If you want to play, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, it's on both systems. It's the same game. And I've got
a Sega Classics thing that I can play on my PlayStation 3. So technically, I'm playing a Nintendo, a game that's owned by Sega, licensed by Nintendo on a Sony console. It doesn't get that. It's just like, once again, my 12-year-old mind would have been blown.
No, but I mean, like I said, this was a good time to be part of that. The Super Nintendo was coming, was already out.
Oh, and just the competition was so fierce that each one of them were just constantly trying to one up themselves. And a lot of time they failed miserably, but we got some good stuff out of it, like the Game Gear and
the Game Boy.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, really cool.
And that's weird. And we're gonna go back to Streets of Rage here in just a second, but the majority of video game consoles in the 90s were terrible.
Yeah, there was a lot of them that popped up.
And it wasn't just like... And it was even some of the stuff that the big players put out there. I mentioned before the Apple Pippin, which was a pile of garbage. Sega put out like a couple of different things. Nintendo Panasonic had something that went together.
The 3DO, the CDI.
Something like that.
And also the Commodore CD TV.
Yeah, and the Amiga system that came out.
The Atari Jaguar. I don't know if I said that one already.
Sega Saturn was dreadful.
Yep.
The only thing that really
Dreamcast was... I like that console. That one was cool.
Dreamcast was ahead of its time, but unfortunately
it priced itself out of most people's homes.
Yeah, because...
My rich friend was the only person I knew that had
it. A lot of people's rich friends. But not only did it price it out of people's homes, it was trying to... Technically, it's the same generation as the N64.
Right. It's that... it's right on the cusp of the new gen.
Yeah. And Sony PlayStation 2 had more power to it.
Yeah.
And Xbox had more power to it. And at that point, that was you stick a fork in it, it was done.
Yeah, it came out... if it had come out a year earlier, maybe, but...
Or if it came out 2 years later with a bit more oomph behind it.
Yeah, and I think the other problem, too, my buddy that owned it said lack of games.
Yeah.
There's not a good library of games, so... And
not only that, they didn't have the licenses that they have now.
I think he had all of them, and there was like 12. Oof. I mean, something just...
Crazy Taxi, though.
Yeah, and like I said, there were some good ones on there, but there's nothing like a good old-fashioned side-scrolling beat-em-up.
No, there isn't. It's and this right here is the standard for 16-bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we mentioned like in the other two games where it was an improvement on the first one.
Right.
They pretty much nailed it. With what was... I don't think there was too many drastic changes within Streets of Rage 2.
Not really. A few moves, character changes. They introduced a more diverse crowd. Like you had this... he had this like I think it was a dude. There was a character that was on like rollerblades.
Yeah.
And it was like really it was a dude. He had like a yellow hat and these bright red rollerblades. But they had like a diverse crew of people, which I thought was cool. But other than that, yeah, they pretty much stuck to the formula.
And like they
it worked. You know?
They did good on the Foundation game was as good as its predecessors, whereas the other two games we talked about, the Foundation game wasn't as good. You know, I mean, Road Rash 1 was a good game, but Road Rash 2 blew it out the water. NBA Jam was a good game, but NBA Jam Tournament Edition blew it out the water.
Yeah, Mario 1 was really good, but man, Mario 2, that was just a whole nother level right there.
We could spend a whole episode talking about the Mario 2 controversy.
Yeah, Mario 2.
A lot of people have. I mean,
there's so much stuff in that game, just everywhere.
Oh yeah,
Easter eggs aplenty. It's great.
Yeah. Just goodness. But this game right here, you know, side scrolling beat 'em up.
Good 2-player.
Yes.
The 2-player, I think it was the strongest point of this game.
I think it was designed specifically for 2-player.
It seems to do better, and it's one of those games that doesn't suffer from lag.
No.
You know, because it's one of those games where there'll be a lot going on at once.
But it's contained.
But yeah, it's not bogging down. I remember playing Zelda and being in a room with 20 likes, and it's just it's so annoying. So.
Well, I think that was one of its strengths.
Was smooth.
Yeah, was the fact that you couldn't go back. Once you went forward and that thing was off the screen, it was done. You never saw it again.
It didn't push you along though, did it? It no. Kind of just.
You had to do it yourself.
Okay, but then you would get to a boss or a point, and it would stop you.
Yeah,
and you couldn't go anywhere until that person was defeated.
And then I think that helped smooth the gameplay out because it only loaded up this section at a time.
Yeah.
Then this section at a time. Then this section.
So it knows how much stuff's going to be on the screen, and they can. Because in Zelda, stuff can just wander in from off screen if you're out in the wilderness, you know. So
and it was the same. Okay, every time you play it, it's the same type of opponent, but they don't come in the screen in the exact same place.
Right.
Whereas, we mentioned Mario several times. There's going to be a Goomba coming straight away, and then there's two more.
Scripted.
And
yeah. This guy's going to be jumping this high, and this one's going to be jumping that high.
This was randomly scripted, even though it was the same opponents. Like, for example...
They respawn at random points outside of the playable area.
The first playthrough, you have 3 guys coming in from the left-hand side. And then the second time, you have 2 from the left and 1 from the right.
1 from the bottom and then 1 from the... Yeah.
And so it kind of tested your...
But that's... Yeah, and that's good. That's how real life would be.
Yeah. It was really, really good. I love this game because of the fact that it was a traditional. We keep saying traditional, but it had a 3-ring circus of characters you could play.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is there was 3 stats, and each guy or gal had 2 stats that they were proficient in and 1 stat that they were nerfed.
Where they were kind of weak.
Blaze. It was Blaze who was the chick. She didn't have any strength.
She was fast, or she was.
She was fast and could jump.
Yeah. Okay.
Adam couldn't jump. But he was fast and strong.
Yeah.
And then Axel wasn't fast, but he was strong and quick. So every gameplay...
They all had complementary traits and weaknesses.
And every gameplay, that meant that every time you played this game with the random spawn-ins and the different styles of fighter that you picked, every game was different.
Yeah, so that gives it a lot of replay value.
Definitely.
Right there, especially with playing with other people. You could do another run through the different character. And then with the enemies respawning in different spots, it's going to feel it's not going to feel as old as quickly.
No, and the thing is with 2-player mode too, which I loved, is you had 2 SWAT cars. Because the SWAT cars, I've played this a lot with my cousin, and his instruction to me was, the first time I played it, is don't press the A button until I tell you.
Okay.
And then when I got to the boss fight, we started fighting. He said, okay, press the A button. So I pressed the A button. And then this cop car showed up, from 5 screens back, with a nuclear warhead fired into the thing and destroyed everything.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the game. And even to this day, that's how I play it. I don't touch that cop car until I'm either...
You save it for the...
I save it for the boss fight, or if, like, I'm about to die.
Right. Last-ditch effort.
And I know I'm going to die. They're going to give me a new cop car when I get this new life anyway.
Right. You just take everybody out anyway.
Take everybody out. This was early thing of double team moves, too.
Yeah. And they kept on doing that, too. They kept on adding to that. And that was something that you saw in, 91. So, yeah, I think Double Dragon was 2. It was when they started doing that.
Yeah.
So they probably took a little page out of this. Because, yeah, they're definitely very similar. One of the main differences being the storyline.
Yeah. Because this game had a plot, which was unusual for video games back then.
And for a beat 'em up too, yeah, to have like a movie-esque type of feel to it, like story, anyways.
And the story was that a crime syndicate is led by Mr. X, and they have taken over a once peaceful city where corruption and violence is everywhere, with the cops in the syndicate's pocket. 3 former cops, Adam, Axel, and Blaze, fight back, looking to destroy Mr. X. It's cheesy. It's formulaic.
It's a traditional type of plot, but it's tried and true, and it's the perfect setup for a beat 'em up.
And when you play this game with the background of the city on fire, you know,
it's a really cool game.
It's perfect. It's really, really good. This game has 4 levels of difficulty, and this difficulty scales really, really well.
Yeah, it's very gradual.
I mean, easy.
And you get more moves and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So you
or at least more power-ups.
You grow with it. Like your player, not only your skills, but your player literally grows too.
Because here's the thing, right? I joked about NBA Jam. You know, it had 5 levels of difficulty: hard, extra hard, ha ha ha. You played easy. This game did a lot of what it said it was going to do.
Yeah.
Easy was easy. Hard was hard.
Yeah.
You know.
So it was accurately scaled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every level, like we mentioned, had different sections. There were 2 levels that were unique, right?
Right.
Level 7, where they did the outside the elevator going up the building.
Yeah.
I loved throwing people off that building. I just loved it. Level 8 was in a high-rise hallway. It's the only indoor level of the game. You had no SWAT support, and instead of going left to right, you went right to left.
Oh, yeah, but that threw me off a little. I remember, was it that Ninja Turtles arcade game did that too?
Yeah.
Had like forced perspectives, and they would move you. You'd be moving like left to right for a long time, and then you go like an isometric up angle, like in Paperboy, exactly. And then like it's kind of jarring a little bit.
And I think that was done. Obviously, it was done intentionally, but I think it was done with the intention of testing you.
It works. I mean,
because like the first 7 levels, or the first 6 levels, left to right, you know what you got to do. You kind of get used to doing this. Level 7 is kind of, you know, just an up and down level. Okay, fair enough. You got a little box to move in, but that's fine. But then right to left, so you're already used to doing it. You know what I mean? It definitely changed how you played that last level.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's definitely gonna get in your head a little bit, just because you're so used to, you know, the way it's been the whole time. Yeah, there's games that love to do that. Kung Fu on NES did that too. Each level rotated between right to left and left to right. And
you know, the reason I'm enamored so much with this game is because the year it came out and the year it was developed in. You know, these things weren't common at the time. In fact, I think this was one of the first. You know, as you mentioned, there were some that did it, but like one of the first that did do it. It's the first of its kind that actually made it work. Because I think Action 52 was out before this. Yeah, and it had some attempts at beat 'em ups, and they were garbage. Like no one would waste their time on those at all. No. So this is, if this is not the first side by side scrolling beat 'em up, if it's not, it's one of the first ones, and it's one of the best ones. The best one. It set the bar. Totally. And 2 and 3 raised it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played 2 that much, and I haven't played 3 that much. But what I have played of it, it's like 2 is great. I'm trying to remember the dude with the rollerblades. He had such a cool name. It was like Blades or something, or like Skatey or something. But it was like this hip hop dude, and he had rollerblades, and he was like. He had some of the coolest, like he did the, like the little scissor kick, like Guile does in Street Fighter.
I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Oh yeah, the cover. We're pulling up the Wikipedia. The cover.
Skate was his name.
Skate. See, I was close. It was like Skatey or. Yeah, that's a great cover.
Yeah, I mean everything.
It just tells you everything you want to know about that game in the cover.
I think
bunch of people whooping each other's butts, you know.
Yeah, and I've said it before. And I'll say again. This game basically does everything it says it's going to do.
It does, yeah, and the name totally fits it.
One of the big pluses of this is the soundtrack.
Oh God, yeah, the soundtrack is unbelievable. It's the perfect mood for every scene.
Yeah, I mean the level 5 on the boat, right? It kind of the music not only fits it, but it feels like you it kind of goes back and forth and back and forth. So you feel mentally you're on the ship with the waves and everything going on, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yuzo Koshido was Sega's answer to Koji Kondo, right?
Gotcha.
And he made full use of everything. Like he took what he could do. Or what he was not necessarily allowed to do, but what the hardware could do.
What he knew would work.
And he maximized every single note, every single piece, everything.
Did he do the Sonic music?
I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, because that was another excellent. It sounds to me it sounds like it's in the same style, but yeah, nonetheless, music is a really important element in games. I don't think a lot of people. I think it's a fact that a lot of people gloss over. And then again, I know there's people who are distracted by music. They'll mute the music, especially when they're playing RPGs like Fallout or Skyrim, whatever. But
I'll leave it at half volume, just so it's there, but it doesn't distract me.
So it's like ambience almost, yeah.
But this guy definitely he did Sonic. He did the 8-bit Sonic, so the stuff that came out on the Master System.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
but nonetheless, Sonic's music's always been kicking in the 16-bit and before era.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's always good.
I'm just looking right now. Bear with me, everybody. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that. I know I've heard that name several times. It's real good. Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, he did the last Smash Brothers game, which is high praise.
He's got a full page of stuff over here.
Of just stuff.
So yeah, so this guy definitely knew what he was doing, and he definitely pushes the limits of what it can do. Well,
I give this game 10 out of 10 because again, it was my favorite game growing up. It brought back a lot of good memories, and I'm gonna have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I have never beaten this game.
I haven't either.
I've gotten.
I didn't have the grit. Now that I have the grit and the knowledge, I don't have the time.
No, I
had all the time in the world back then.
Right, but even I even played this game about a year ago because we bought the Genesis Classic Series for the Xbox 360. Right, and I played it then, and even then I couldn't. I got to the door. And at that point, I'd used up all my lives and all my continues.
He's real hard.
No, I didn't even get to him. I've gotten to him 3 times.
Oh, okay, I've gotten to him. I've never gotten close to beating him.
I've never been able to beat him because he has a freaking Tommy gun.
Yep.
He's the only character that has a weapon like that. I mean, they have pipes and chains.
He's
and bats.
Built like the Punisher. It's ridiculous.
But I think what made it, like we mentioned, everything said what it was going to do. It was paced perfectly.
Yeah, it scales. The difficulty scales really, really well. It moves with you.
It doesn't feel slow. It doesn't feel rushed. It just feels.
It keeps you engaged, keeps it interested, because it's really easy for that to get monotonous. But they've got lots of different stuff going on with the random spawning of characters and the different players you can pick. And I think later on they added divergent paths and other stuff like that, and objects that you could pick up and interact with.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just constantly kept challenging themselves and found ways to creatively challenge the player, which is awesome.
The only negative that I've got on this game, as far as I'm concerned, is there are some areas in the game that that shows this clearly was designed for a two-player mode.
Right. I was wondering about that because, like, am I really helping myself if I'm playing 2-player? Because if they're just doubling down the enemies because there's 2 people, then I might as well play 1 player.
Yeah.
But if you're seeing 2 players worth of people and then 1 player, then
I think what it was is, say there was 40 enemies on a level for one player. When you pick 2-player, it went to 60.
See, that's what I was thinking.
But there were some areas where they were just concentrated so much.
It seemed like it was...
You needed a second set of hands to help you.
Right.
You know, so... But yeah, that's what I think. 10 out of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I'd say that's a pretty high-class gripe, honestly.
But like I said, real wonderful game. I'm gushing over it. So... All right, so like I mentioned, guys, that we're at the end of talking about some of these classics. If you want us to talk about more Genesis classics, let us know on our social media pages, and we can arrange something out and we talk about a couple more like that. So in the meantime, we'll be right back. Attention, 90s music fans. Wondering what to do in isolation on a Saturday night? Then check out friends of the show, the Holodecks. Coming up Saturday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Join the guys as they take a trip back to the 90s in a special performance live on Facebook. Check out facebook.com/the Holodecks and the upcoming event section for more information. If you would like to find out more about the band, look up theholodecks.com and don't forget to like them on Facebook. The Holodecks, your premier 90s music experience. Alright guys, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us. I want to send out a sincere thank you to Gregg Gregory for taking part in what we just spoke about. As you can tell, Gregg is not here for this part because me and Gregg spoke about Genesis Classics way back in January, and today is mid-April. We were recording things out of sequence on order of Chief Whip Crapper, or Cracker even. Chief Whip Cracker. Sarah, how you doing, Sarah?
I'm fine. I think I'm going to have that embroidered on a t-shirt. Chief Whip Crapper. Chief
Whip Crapper. So why have we omitted the ending segment that we would have Gregg speak on? 2 reasons. The first reason is actually logistical. What we spoke about, because of the fact of how we changed schedules midway through everything, is out of date, and I couldn't really edit it in a way to make it sound coherent and make sense.
Right.
So next week's episode, Sarah is going to be back on with us.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about patron saint of the podcast, Miss Courtney Love.
Yes.
In her movie with the great Jim Carrey, Danny DeVito, and Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
In Man on the Moon.
Fabulous.
And Gregg will be back with us, but he will not be back with us to do an episode about kids animation. He will be back with us to do an episode on ranked animation, which we will get to next week, okay? So, that's it for Genesis Classics.
Yes.
So, there are a couple of very, very large elephants in the room that I decided that we needed to address very, very quickly, very, very coherently, and we hope not to take too much of your time, okay? I know this is unusual. We don't usually do stuff like this. The only time we do stuff like this is when something really important happens. I think the death of Tom Petty was one of them, where we did a little bit more afterwards. So, so this is basically the reason why we recorded all of season 6 between mid-January and mid-February.
Yes.
I had Sarah come out here, Dexter Duran came out here, Gregg Gregory came out here, and you'll be hearing those later on in the season. And this goes to show how messed up the last few weeks have been.
It seems like those were last year, or
the Australian wildfires were this year.
It doesn't even seem.
It seems like it was a long, long time ago, because one of the episodes that I just dated, I think it was last week's episode, talks about how to donate to the Australian wildfire relief.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was this year, folks. That was this January. And as you know, we're in the midst of
a global pandemic.
Yeah, global pandemic in the coronavirus.
COVID-19.
We haven't really spoken about it in the episodes because
they were pre-recorded.
The only time we've referenced anything outside of January through February is when Sarah did her wonderful Carol Baskin impression a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Because we wanted to be lighthearted and say yes, wink and a nod, because it seems like the last couple of weeks it's been either COVID-19 or Tiger King.
Right. But guys, for those of you who have listened for a while, you remember at the end of last season with how that wrapped up, I pretty much put an embargo on any future seasons being released until they were all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And that's just to make sure that, because my main priority as John's wife has to be his mental health, and that's still the case.
Yeah.
So, but it actually all worked out, because there's no way, I think, if we were still trying to do these live, that this would work.
No, absolutely not.
So it's like I said, it's good that all these are in the can, so that way we can make sure that this season is as uninterrupted as possible. But that also means that, like the Carol Baskin interview and like this outro, sometimes we have to record some
additional information,
right? Something a little more timely. But guys, just we hope that all of you out there are staying safe.
Yep.
And taking care of your mental health, because if touch or quality time is your love language, this is sucking for you right now.
Absolutely.
And we recognize that, and we are so sorry. We feel for you. And our hearts are with you as they are with our healthcare workers, our factory workers, all of our essential workers, our grocery workers. Our oldest is working out there on
the intern is earning her crust is an essential worker right now.
Right, yeah. Slinging carts at the grocery store on the front lines. But those guys and the healthcare workers and all of those that are out there, because they have to be to keep this country going, to keep the world going, depending on what country you're in. Those are the heroes, and we applaud them here at
BMN. Because here's the thing, right? And this is part of the reason I wanted to talk about is, number one, everybody stay safe. We're not ignoring the issue ignore the issue, because when we recorded this wasn't
an issue.
It wasn't an issue. I mean, people knew that there was something up, but not. Because common people like us, like Jarvis said, we weren't in that kind of loop. It was just there was whisperings of something. Basically, that's part of the reason I want to get Sarah in here, is because, number one, she's the only person I can get in live, because we are not essential workers, but we are, what's the best way to say this? We live in the same house.
Right.
So, I need somebody to come out here and talk about this, but there's a couple of things. Number one, obviously, wash your hands, be nice to people, don't hold toilet paper, eat spicy food.
Stay 6 feet apart.
Stay 6 feet apart unless you're married to someone.
Be kind to each other.
Yes.
Everybody's stressed out right now.
Yep. And
please be kind.
And I wanted to give an update on what that means for us without having to do another episode, because I don't have the time to do another extra episode. So this is basically what it is. 8 to 5. I work at the 8 to 5 as normal, and that makes me super busy. So this is coming out on a Sunday. Yesterday, you will have seen my live stream of Donkey Kong Country. If you haven't, go check it out on the YouTube channel. And the 90s Gamer is being paused for the moment because I don't have the time to produce another series. So I'll probably just do a bunch of streams of little games in the meantime, every couple of weeks or so. But there's no new long playthrough that we've been doing. This season 6, was originally supposed to be 14 episodes. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, because everybody who I need to be involved in this has been super busy, it's dialed back to 8. Now but
those are already recorded.
Those are already recorded and done and ready to go. It's a shame, really, because we're not going to be back on July 5th like I wanted to be for season 7, because I had the perfect episode to go on for July 5th. The greatest summer blockbuster of all time, made in 1997, with the greatest extra in movie history. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Right.
But so all that's going to be done. So this is the halfway point of the season. We got 4 more episodes to go, and I genuinely don't know at what point this year we will be back in a part-time or even full-time capacity.
Well, that's kind of where everybody's at right now. Everybody's in the world is in a holding pattern, folks. But know that we're here, and we'll have content out to you in some shape or another. We just don't. We don't want to promise you what kind of consistency we can do it in.
Yeah, I might even abandon the idea of a season and just cobble together something and put it out when I can. Without any rhyme or reason. So, for example, I mentioned the joke of Independence Day. Say there's a subject that you and I were going to talk about.
Right.
If we can find a couple hours in our schedule to sit down and talk about it,
Right.
release it. You know, it's kind of like what they call it. You've got albums, and then you've got the EPs in between albums.
Right.
This is our whatever. But like I said, I just wanted to get all this information out to you guys, and I wanted my chief whipcracker with me to kind of help me articulate the ways of doing things, because she is a better articulator than I am.
And that also means that unless we decide to go to Zoom sessions or whatnot, if this does look like we're all in this for the long haul, his guest, if we decide, not if we decide, but if it looks like we're able to continue, it looks like it's you guys are stuck with me.
Yeah.
Or he'll be flying solo.
I'll be flying solo, and I think which is the worst option of the two right now.
So. Right. Well, sorry, fine. Then I'll leave.
No, I'm talking about me flying solo. Because I have a very droning voice, and I say the phrase, that's amazing, isn't it? So, stay safe. Everybody do good.
Be kind to yourselves and to each other.
Be kind to yourselves and each other. Again, thanks, Gregg, for talking about the three games we spoke about. Wash your hands, and after you're done washing your hands, pick up your phone and check out Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, or Instagram. That's where you can find the Because Maybe Network. And obviously look up Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio. And I'd say more, but I mean, the joke's worn thin right now, but you're probably going to hear it 4 more times in the next couple of episodes. And we
love you guys.
And we're also on YouTube. I love every single one of you who's taking the time to listen to us. If you are online next Saturday, as you listen to the Holodex gig, it's going to be a damn good live stream.
Yes.
Listen to it. It's damn good. I can guarantee that. And if you don't like my guarantee, I'm not a salesman. I'm just a simple podcast host. Stay safe. Wash your hands. All that stuff.
And all that jazz.
And more importantly, stay safe. And if you can't stay safe, make sure you stay as safe as you can. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves and each other. We love you all. And you'll hear us next week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.